I guess the title of this video would be better fit as something like, should you learn to code, do a boot camp, go to school for computer science, or otherwise indulge yourself in the world of computer programming just for a higher than average paycheck? And my answer to that is simply, should you do anything just for the money? Money as a concept is actually pretty theoretical, and many currencies aren't actually linked to any true form of value. And if we look back through history, it was mainly used as a way to make bartering more simple and easier to do. So then, spending time at a job is more of just a way to barter your time for the things that you really want in life. A nice car, a big house, expensive food, and enough money to support the family that you always wanted. Let's run some numbers though. Let's say you work about 8 hours a day, which might be more or less than the average engineer, software engineer at a good company. If you work 40 hours a week with 2 weeks of vacation, you're looking at about 2,000 hours of work per year. 2,000 hours a year comes out to about 34% of your total time. So then, is 34% of your time doing something you might not fully enjoy worth it to afford making that other 66% better? After I failed my second physics course, I decided that I was going to change my college major. I found out that the top business majors actually make about $100,000 plus a $30,000 bonus, starting bonus, when they graduate college. Now that's like the top percentage of business students. From what I understood, they went into investment banking. I was sold. This was the most amount of money I'd ever heard of somebody making at the young age of 22 right out of college. A couple of months later, after I had already started down the business major route that I thought I wanted to go down, I found out that the top CS grads each year make about $225,000 when they graduate from companies like Roblox, Lyft, and Stripe. And this completely blew my mind. So I changed my major to CS. I used the internet and online resources for free to learn how to code and do web development, and I secured multiple jobs and internships that utilized these new skills. I started my path into CS solely because it was one of the highest paying careers with a great work-life balance, and this is well known in the industry and around the industry. There are very few careers where the higher you go, the more you make and the less you technically have to do. So with the current state of the economy, I think it's worth talking about, do 22-year-olds deserve these multiple six-figure salaries when they have little to no experience? And what does it even mean to deserve a salary or a high salary? Developers are able to command such a high salary because the companies that they work for are able to generate huge profits and large cash flows just by the nature of the business that they're in. You write software once and you can scale it to millions, even billions of people. So on a dev by dev basis, these companies are actually making way more than what they're paying their devs. In the next few years, maybe even the next decade, I foresee a few things happening in terms of talking about high paying tech jobs. I think that startups are going to stop compensating at such a high level for new grads when they are not profitable yet. And this is solely by the fact that if a company is valued at less, like many startups are now because of the state of the economy, they're going to have to give away a lot more equity to pay devs the same amount of money, or raise more money, which is also more difficult right now. You could argue that it's even more easy right now because of the amount of money in venture capital, but we're going to stick with this idea that people are being more cautious with their money right now because of the recession. So by a simple mathematical fact, they're going to have to give away much more of their company percentage-wise to compensate engineers as much as these large companies that are actually generating profits on a daily basis. So like I said before, I think that startups are going to stop compensating at these massively high FANG levels when they're not being profitable yet. Furthermore, I think that FANG companies or MANG companies or whatever you want to call it are going to still pay the highest, but they're going to taper off their salaries to a more sustainable level. I can't imagine being able to justify paying a new grad who's 22 years old without much experience over $200,000 a year. And what does that look like in 10 years? Is it going to be $300,000 a year? Because I get that inflation exists, but to me, that just doesn't make sense. Getting back to the main question, would I still be writing code if it wasn't a highly paid skill? And there's a famous Steve Jobs quote that I like to think about in cases like this. For the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. If I had a choice every single day of what I was going to do, independent of money, expenses, or anything else, I like to think that I would spend a lot of time learning about new technologies and coding and building things. The way that I view code is as a form of art, and I write code as a way to express myself creatively. I've definitely started on this journey for the money, but I've fallen completely in love with the idea of writing and designing systems that can impact millions of people, all from a laptop.